On August 15, 778, the Battle of Roncevaux Pass marked a significant conflict between Charlemagne's army and the Basque forces, stemming from tensions in the region. Charlemagne, king of the Franks, had recently returned from a campaign in Spain, eager to assert his influence across the region. As Charlemagne's forces were traversing through the treacherous Roncevaux Pass, they encountered the Basque warriors, who were fiercely defending their homeland. The clash was not merely a military engagement. It carried deep cultural implications for both the Franks and the Basques. With the Basque warriors leveraging their knowledge of the terrain, they launched surprise attacks on the unwary Frankish troops. Charlemagne's forces, initially confident, quickly found themselves surrounded by the agile Basque warriors. Amidst the clash of swords and cries of war, Charlemagne stood resilient, rallying his troops amidst the chaos. The Basque warriors, utilizing guerrilla tactics, began to pick off the Frankish soldiers from their advantageous positions. As the battle escalated, the initial strategic advantage of the Franks was steadily eroded by the persistent assault of the Basque forces. With morale faltering, the Frankish army began to retreat, struggling against the Basques' relentless pursuit. The retreat of Charlemagne's forces became chaotic as they were pursued deeper into the treacherous terrain. Amidst the chaos, some brave Frankish knights attempted a last stand to protect their retreating comrades. Despite their valor, the knights found themselves overpowered by the sheer number and ferocity of the Basque forces. As dusk fell upon the battlefield, the harsh reality of defeat began to take its toll on Charlemagne's army. The defeat at Roncevaux Pass became a significant and symbolic moment in the history of both the Franks and the Basques. In the wake of the battle, Charlemagne's reputation was both tarnished and strengthened, reflecting the duality of defeat and valor. A Basque victory galvanized their identity and resistance against foreign influences, reinforcing their cultural pride. The echoes of the conflict at Roncevaux Pass would resonate through the annals of history, reminding future generations of the struggle for land and identity. The aftermath of the battle required Charlemagne to rethink his strategies in the face of unconventional warfare. The Basque warriors, emboldened by their victory, found temporary relief but understood the ongoing challenges of defending their homeland. The struggle for control over the Pyrenees would continue, but the Battle of Roncevaux Pass stood as a crucial chapter in that narrative. As Charlemagne considered his next move, the impending threat of future conflicts loomed larger than ever in his mind. The Basques, while celebrating their victory, prepared for potential retaliations, aware that their fight was far from over. The memories of fallen comrades lingered on both sides, humanizing the conflict amid the broader political landscape. Montages of training and preparation on both sides unfold, hinting at the inevitability of further clashes in the future. Roncevaux Pass became enshrined not only as a battlefield, but also a symbol of cultural pride and resilience for the Basques. As the season changed, so did strategies. Both sides braced themselves for what was to come, entwined in a historical legacy that loomed larger than individual battles. The relentless struggle for dominance in the Pyrenees set the stage for future alliances and enmities during Charlemagne's reign. In the wake of Roncevaux Pass, the political landscape of medieval Europe began to shift, influenced by these local conflicts. As Charlemagne strategized, he was reminded that victories could quickly turn into lessons learned on the battlefield. In the early morning, Charlemagne gathered his remaining commanders, strategizing for their retreat while acknowledging the gravity of the situation. The mountain air was brisk, and the landscape was marked by steep cliffs and dense forests. On the opposing side, the Basque warriors mobilized, their eyes glinting with determination. Led by resolute leaders, they prepared to follow their instincts and the familiar paths through the rugged terrain, ready to exploit any weakness. As the day progressed, Charlemagne's forces encountered ambushes. The sounds of distant shouting and clashing metal echoed through the valleys, as skilled Basque warriors executed their tactics with precision. Realizing that their supplies were dwindling, Charlemagne called for a strategic regrouping, hoping to maintain some semblance of control amidst the chaos. Meanwhile, the Basque leaders shared a moment of camaraderie, boosting the spirits of their men as they relayed tales of ancestral warriors. The pride of their homeland surged among them. As night fell, both sides tended to their wounded and strategized under the stars, a somber reminder of the day's losses and the night's uncertainties. The next day began with the sounds of the Basque war drums resonating through the valley, rallying warriors to prepare for the final confrontation against the retreating Franks. Charlemagne, aware of the vital importance of the pass, decided to make a stand. He inspired his men, recounting their past victories and urging them to defend their honor. The Basque forces, emboldened by their previous successes, prepared for an all-out assault, moving swiftly through the terrain and coordinating their advance toward the Frankish position. As the Basque forces approached, Charlemagne's army braced itself for the imminent clash, tightening their formation, knowing that every decision counted in this pivotal moment. The battle erupted with ferocity, both sides fighting valiantly, but the Basques surged forward with relentless ferocity, overwhelming the Frankish defenses. In the heat of battle, Charlemagne sought out the fiercest Basque warrior, hoping to turn the tide by engaging him in single combat, a bold move that resonated with the soldiers on both sides. As the fight continued, Charlemagne's leadership became vital. He demonstrated remarkable skill and valor, inspiring his men despite the dire circumstances. Despite fierce resistance, one by one, Charlemagne's soldiers began to falter under the relentless pressure of the Basque onslaught. It was a fight not just of might, but of spirit. Amidst the chaos, a cry for retreat rang out as some of Charlemagne's soldiers began to break formation, leading to panic among the ranks. As dawn broke over Roncevaux Pass, the air was thick with tension. Charlemagne, clad in his ornate armor, convened with his commanders to assess their dwindling options. The rugged mountains loomed ominously, with echoes of distant Basque war cries creeping closer, which filled his heart with foreboding. Facing immense pressure, Charlemagne made a strategic decision to split his remaining forces into smaller units for better maneuverability in the theater of war, hoping to mitigate the Basques' ambush potential. His commanders nodded in reluctant agreement, recognizing the necessity of adapting to the enemy's tactics. Meanwhile, the Basque warriors, fueled by a fierce determination to defend their homeland, conducted a rallying speech led by their leader. They invoked their ancestors, urging their men to fight for their people, creating a wave of resolve and vengeance that surged throughout the ranks. As the sun climbed higher, Charlemagne attempted a bold counteroffensive, intending to retake the initiative. His forces charged forward, only to be met with a vicious volley of Basque arrows raining down from the heights above, forcing them into another chaotic retreat. The chaos of retreat left Charlemagne's men disorganized, straggling away from their formation as fear took hold. Charlemagne shouted commands, desperately trying to restore order and harness their courage. Yet the psychological toll was evident among the ranks. As the fierce battle waged on, a group of brave Frankish soldiers made one final stand, attempting to buy time for their comrades to regroup. Suicide missions by these valiant warriors pulled some focus away from Charlemagne's vulnerable position, but at a devastating cost. The Basque warriors, emboldened by their early successes, coordinated their forces with increased ferocity and confidence. They mounted an assault on the remaining Frankish lines, exploiting the enemy's hesitation, creating a push that began to erode Charlemagne's defenses further. During the height of the conflict, a legendary clash unfolded between Charlemagne and a prominent Basque leader atop a rocky outcrop. Their duel became a spectacle, drawing both sides' attention as they fought fiercely, symbolizing the stakes of this monumental battle. Despite Charlemagne's personal prowess, the tide continued to turn. The Basque leader, sensing weakness, rallied his men to maintain their advance, shouting commands that reverberated through the ranks and further stoked the fires of their fight. In the aftermath of the furious clash, Charlemagne's forces began to crumble as soldiers fled in every direction, abandoning their positions. The sight of their once mighty leader engulfed in battle but unable to turn the tide filled them with despair. With the remnants of Charlemagne's army retreating, the Basque warriors emerged victorious, celebrating their hard-won triumph over the formidable invaders. Shouts of joy rang out in contrast to the defeated cries of the Franks that echoed through the pass. As victory was claimed, the Basque leaders began the somber task of tending to the wounded and honoring the fallen. The brutal reality of war weighed heavily on them, and they held memorials even in their celebration, echoing the complex nature of their triumph. In the wake of the defeat, Charlemagne, along with his remaining commanders, regrouped in the safety of a distant encampment. Despite the loss, plans were already forming to analyze the battle and adapt for future endeavors, highlighting the resilience of his leadership. Charlemagne spent hours in reflection, understanding the implications of this battle for his expansive empire. He saw that his failure to secure the pass would ripple through his legacy, reshaping perceptions of his rule and igniting resistance among conquered peoples. The experience of regrettable loss provoked a shift in Charlemagne's military strategy. He began to rethink how he would approach relationships with local populations, knowing that respect and understanding would be key to maintaining power in these contested regions. For the Basque people, this victory became a defining moment in their cultural identity. The Battle of Roncevaux resonated far beyond its immediate combatants, beginning to help unify different Basque factions against foreign domination. Historians began to reflect upon the events of August 15, 778, positioning it as a turning point not only for Charlemagne's strategies, but also for the Basques' fight for autonomy. Memorials were erected, heralding the cultural significance of the battle. Ultimately, the legacy of the battle existed within the evolving narratives of history. Charlemagne's reputation as the invincible king was forever challenged, while the Basque culture began to thrive as a symbol of resistance within the region. Thus, the Battle of Roncevaux Pass became legendary not just for its conflicts, but for how it shared stories of struggle, pride, and the relentless spirit of those who lived in the realms of both Charlemagne and the Basque people. In the end, August 15th, 778, etched itself into the annals of history as a reminder of the shifting tides of power and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity, keeping tales of bravery alive for generations.